Okay, we're start. Or have we
All
already
right,
started?
we started with bantering. Okay. So, as you all know, guess what panel we're at? Actually, we need to. Would the suitcase, with the luggage, please come up real quick? This is amazing. This is amazing.
But it's not quick once I sit down.
Well, that's okay. Everybody needs to see. When you come down to the end of the runway, twirl.
Yeah, sorry. Twirl.
Yes.
When I saw that outside, it made my heart sing.
She will kick you.
She's feisty.
So, we are here for the Terry Pratchett panel, The Wonderful World of Terry Pratchett. I am Rox of Spazhouse for needcoffee.com, a pop culture website which hosts the #1 audio train wreck, Your Weekend Justice, of which we do talk Terry Pratchett and all things geek and non-geek sometimes. To my left, your right. My right, your left. Yeah.
I'm Misti Carpenter.
Talking to the mic.
This is the very first time I've ever been this side, so you have to excuse me. I'm Misti Carpenter. I'm an Anglophile, married one, so yeah. Been reading Pratchett since 2001, I think.
Yeah.
When I met him, he introduced me to him. It took a little bit of time to warm up because, you know, if you start with The Light Fantastic, you're like, what is going on here? So, but then once I finally, got into it, it's my favorite. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, and I'm K Tetch, and I'm also the Assistant Director of the Electronic Frontiers Forums track, if people would like to go over and learn about lore, technology, and your freedoms and rights online. I've been reading Pratchett since the mid-90s, when I grew up as a teenager in the UK. Even now, we listen to the audiobooks probably 4 times a year for each one overnight. It helps sleep. With sleep, we have a Stephen Briggs going. I've read pretty much every one of his books, including the latest one, Long Mars. And this is my 3rd year doing this panel.
I think that, this is, fourth
3.
for us. 4, 3, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first one I was heckling from the audience.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so I'm one on you, yes. Actually, bringing up Long Mars, this is an interesting, because I know we discussed this, and if we get the Long Mars out of the way for you.
Thank you.
There you go. Actually, this is something we can talk about is co-writing with Terry, because we know of his medical situation and stuff. With The Long Earth, we did notice the
style change.
The style change of who did what. Has it gotten better? Do you still notice that it's half and half?
I don't read the long books, all 3 of them so far. I think it's a 5-book series it's planned as. I don't read them as a Terry Pratchett book.
Okay.
First and foremost, so I don't look at the writing styles in, this is Discworld, this is what it's supposed to be like, because his early works, Stratas, doesn't read like the Discworld, and Dark Side of the Sun doesn't read like the Discworld.
But when you take Good Omens, it's almost seamless between, this is what I'm saying, it's almost seamless between Gaiman and, what I'm trying to say is, have they found a good voice to merge the two? But Good Omens, I think, is one of the most near perfect of co-writing with 2 amazing minds. Right? Would you guys agree? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, certainly with the Long Mars, it looks like there's 2 basic threads throughout the whole thing. So it looks like one wrote one, one wrote the other. Okay. And there's 2 separate groups of action going on at the same time. So,
okay.
Again, I didn't really notice any stylistic differences in it. I read it just this past week. Of course, prepping for con means you don't remember much anyway.
No, just, where are you supposed to be? Yes. So do you like it?
I like the books. In fact, I thought The Long Earth was probably one of the best books I've read in a while.
Huh. Okay.
But then again, let me just speak to my aesthetic style.
Okay.
And in fact, The Long Mars actually directly references perhaps my favourite science fiction book of all time, which is Kim Stanley Mars's Red Mars.
Okay.
I like the very, very hard, heavy science books especially.
Well, that's cool.
That's why you like that book.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know.
as opposed
Well, I'm
to more
also-
fantasy.
I'm a robotics engineer that also designed particle accelerators in my spare time. So
There you go.
I'll be talking over the robotics track later on. And tonight the science track's using one of my PowerPoint presentations from a few years ago for their PowerPoint karaoke, where you give a bunch of scientists a PowerPoint they've never seen. They have to talk.
Wow, I want to go to that now. Okay, now that we've got that business out of the way, I guess we can launch into Raising Steam. You want to start and then go back? So that's the latest book.
In the main disc world.
The main disc world. Who enjoyed that? I did.
Who'd like to steam into engine and ungirder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you?
Come on, hon.
Oh.
I'm shy.
Well, no, you can't.
Yeah.
They all will know you.
Okay. Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't as character in depth, I think, because when you had like Going Postal and Make Money, it was a moist book, but this one really wasn't a specific genre book. You had Moist, you had Vines, you had Harry. And I mean, it was a lot more interpersonal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just.
It was an ensemble.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a specific kind of this kind of book, which is what he usually does. But I did like that.
It's kind of like a wizard's book.
Well, not even the
Right.
wizard.
It's more where you have all the characters.
Yeah, but they're all
Right.
wizards.
Well, when you have something that will change the infrastructure, economy, you're bringing in more people to get a project such as the locomotive. I mean, you look at the Manifest Destiny in the United States,
Yeah.
you could almost, and this is why I keep saying that Pratchett, yes, he's a fantasy writer. He's also, I think, surpasses Jonathan Swift as far as a satirist. You can almost see this book as a take on the United States history. If you want to go that step of how Manifest Destiny occurred, because it's like the idea of, yes, they glossed over, Moist going and discussing land rights and all of that, and the indigenous people of where they're going, which that did happen in the West, and it happened even in South America. About getting rid of the bandits. So you could, like I said, he does a lot of research in these books, and you're right. It's more of an ensemble book with give and take. But if you look at as a history,
yeah, definitely. I mean, it wasn't a knock on the book. It was just, it was.
It felt a little different.
It was his first foray into actually, because, for instance, like Hard's book, it's all about Vimes and how great he is. But then if you read Vimes in like Going Postal or Making Money or even the News,
it's a cameo.
Yeah.
the Truth. Sorry. Like I said, I'm a little nervous. But the Truth, he's Vimes is a completely different. You see how everybody else perceives Vimes. So this was more of a truthful representation of Vimes as a whole individual than has it been in any of the other books, because the other books, Vimes has been like the hero.
Do you all think that maybe bringing all the different threads together in this book is kind of the beginning of the end type of
I don't think so.
I
hope
no,
not.
no,
Well, I
Yeah.
do.
I think.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, no.
No, I think maybe it's. He knows that it's coming, and he's
I know, that's the horrible
and
part.
I know. Believe me, I've cried. I wrote a paper about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going back to school. So I wrote a paper about it, about his illness. But I think perhaps I've heard he's trying to pass the torch so they can still
To
be
Rihanna.
Yes.
Given his daughter,
right. But he's maybe trying to make peace with it. And just trying to write what he wants to write. Because I know he said he wasn't going to write another Tiffany Aching book, but there's going to be another Tiffany Aching book out.
But I think maybe, at least what I got the sense of is he's trying to bring it to a point where it can stop being his writing
Yeah,
and transition
and then
to
You know what? I
else.
think you have something there. Okay,
Yeah.
if you think, like we were saying, it's an ensemble, a giant ensemble piece.
Right.
Even though it's 300 pages, there's a lot going on. Because that allows his daughter and anyone else who can pick up threads, and he's given enough of information of Harry and stuff that it could live from other authors. Yes, and I think you have something with that. I really do.
And I think that also kind of it shines through in the fact that the book really is kind of a love letter to trains and that time.
Oh my God, I love
Yeah.
trains.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I took a North American tour. I set up my own, and I went from Jacksonville all the way around the U.S., and I took my bike with me, and I was on several trains, and trains are freaking amazing. They really are.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the US, you don't get the train in Britain.
No. But the thing is it's interesting because you get these weird milk runs. You have to get up at like 2:00 in the morning to get a 3:30 train that goes west and stuff. So, I love trains. You had a question.
Oh, sure. Well, we were bringing up the concept of the focus on destiny and the forces at play. I'd have expected more from Luke C. I mean, we got like a line, but every other piece of the advance of civilization that he's done, we get some sort of flash.
You're right on that. And I was surprised to see him in it.
That was the feeling of.
But again, I think she nailed it because I like the little mention cameo for Granny Weatherwax, who goes and gets coffee off of the clacks. I just love that. It's like can you imagine her? Oh, she's back.
Like Mary Hell with the clacks.
Danny Ogg. I think it was Weather.
I'm going between. It could be either one of them.
Nanny Ogg's more of the freeloader.
Ogg is more of a.
He's got to stuff it down the nickel eggs.
I know.
Keeps the string back there.
I'm so partial to Grant. I'm waiting to become age and I'm cantankerous.
I don't know, you grey it up a little and you can
I know.
probably pull it off.
Thank you. I'm turning 50 this year. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I've got it. You can hit him anytime you want. Anytime. Oh. Completely not Pratchett, but yeah, just go ahead when he makes those. Go ahead.
I mean, like I said, I think he is setting it up as that. So it could be either of the witches there. But yeah, the Lutze, I would have liked to have seen more of him in that too. But I think it's opening up for interpretation. I really do.
Yeah, you also run the risk of him being a little, too much. It's almost like he's playing God if he's just too much.
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, if you harken back to if the most powerful witch to me is Granny.
Granny Ogg. Even Granny Weatherwax says Granny Ogg is more.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yep.
I will take you outside. Take you outside.
Yes,
okay. Nanny Ogg is the best midwife ever.
Yes.
And Nanny Ogg, I think that Nanny Ogg and Granny Weatherwax complement each other.
There's a yin and yang.
Nanny brings him in, Granny stays him.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
And Nanny has a way with people.
she does.
Nanny doesn't.
However, a strong personality that has that kind of power, and she knows when not to use it.
Yeah.
That is the power, really. I mean, she could just do. I mean, you move an entire country forward 100 years, 150.
No, 15.
15.
15.
What?
Can't grow.
In my mind, it's 100.
Black Alice is 100.
That's power that you can abuse it, and she knows she can abuse it.
Yeah.
But she's the
nanny help.
well,
Nanny's
yeah.
the one who got all the chickens to be quiet.
Right, it's true. But during the confrontation with her sister, she knows she had to be the good one. I mean, to me, that is no. I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm in therapy. I don't want to be the good one.
Yeah, but then there was also the scene, I'm terrible at remembering the titles of books, but it was with the elves.
Oh, Lords and Ladies.
Lords and Ladies, thank you. There's a scene where they're out staring the sun, and that was a big victory for Granny Weatherwax, but it was Nanny Ogg who set up the victory with the kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but Nanny was very upset about that.
Yeah.
Granny was very upset about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
She's a control freak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
but
even Granny
my
knows
thing
that
about their
Nanny is
relationship
the
is
stronger of the two.
Granny Weatherwax has the reputation of powerful, but you keep on seeing these instances where Nanny Ogg steps in.
The power behind the throne.
There's this-
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And one of the cardinal rules
Well, you gotta
of the whole witch thing is, you can be a witch without using magic. So while Granny Weatherwax might be the biggest spellcasting power there is, I think Nanny Ogg is the most powerful to take magic out of the equation because she has all the connections and she's crafty.
Yeah, and you
She's
saw
Granny
that.
Wax's puppet master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you saw that with Granny Aching too. We never saw her, but you heard about her
She was always a
enough.
witch who wasn't really a witch.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
And you see, I think that also plays into, in addition to being a brilliant satirist, and this is always just my favorite character, Pratchett really gets the idea that in society, it's not about what you can do, it's about what you can convince people. you can
Correct.
do.
Oh, yes. If you can
yeah.
say anything with conviction,
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
you can do anything.
You know?
That's how I traveled for 2 months.
And I think that's where the Granny Weatherwax Nanny Ogg dynamic comes in, because I think to some degree Granny is comfortable being seen as the most powerful one, because it gives the two of them in their relationship a lot of flexibility.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That third witch.
Right, the tea, Margaret.
Yeah.
Tea, Agnes.
Yes. Which is funny because they never really developed this.
I
No.
know.
They-
Only on the 2 books, wasn't it?
Right. I guess he doesn't know.
No, she's in,
She's in the theater.
Well, she does make him.
Lords and Ladies.
And she was also
She's in the Tiffany.
Carpe Jugular.
But I mean, she's sort of the sad throwaway character type.
I think
Not really throwing away, but
Yeah.
okay.
She's young yet.
Truncated, maybe.
I was hoping you could see a little bit of her in the Tiffany Aching, but no mention that I heard.
Who still thinks that the Tiffany Aching book, to me, just real, some covering stuff, I still think that is the best coming of age story than Harry Potter because it was realistic as far as a young girl growing up and this is her job. It's not easy. It's very hard and it's thankless.
Every year they go to school.
Yeah. And it's a thankless job, except for if you get the used clothes type of thing, which
So it was very much from the feminine point of view, and Harry
Yes.
Potter was sort of from the masculine point of view.
yes, I would agree with
When
that.
she was telling her dad, she's like, Dad, I know stuff. I'm not supposed to know it, but I know it because it's my job to know it.
Yeah. And it's meant for education. It's a great.
I love that. She's like, okay, and now I want to.
Yes, yes. So we can all know the correct stuff.
And
Yeah.
then it's also 22 that the way the danger is presented, it's a lot more realistic looking danger.
Yeah. And I love that she made friends with her ex-boyfriend's wife.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Well,
Yeah.
Terry is really good at writing for women.
Yes.
He
You know,
is.
a lot of male authors cannot do that. They stereotype women. Terry Pratchett really delves into a woman's psyche.
It's almost like you want to say, "Hey, Terry, go talk to Stephen Moffat." Really, just have coffee. Really, it's another panel.
I was going to say agricultural, pastoral background. He grew up out there in the rural farm areas, so he sees the hard work that farm women have to do. And he puts a lot into those Tiffany Aiken novels.
Yes, he does, which is a great testament for the agricultural. But he also, even the women of the city, he does a
Very
great job
definitely.
too.
I mean, Sybil.
Yes,
Sybil, beautiful example.
I've actually presented the witch series to some muggles that I know. It's like, forget the trappings of the costuming in the fantasy world. This is satire. You should read this. And I think it's only A Monstrous Regiment, that's the only book that's in general fiction. That most of his other stuff is in sci-fi fantasy, because, when you break stuff down, I hate when some stuff is so genre related, because it's so broad, and you could, if you see it as a mirror upon our society, they're great books.
It usually is.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were going to say something? No? And
Never heard him this quiet.
I know. Normally.
Continuing on the track of the female representation, I do appreciate the fact that every single one of his female characters is unique and fully developed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the
Not
most part,
necessarily true.
what?
Okay.
Interchangeable Emmas.
Oh.
All right, okay.
That was more of a servant thing. That was.
But I like the fact too that while they're not in competition with men, they don't exist as reflections of men.
You're correct. Yes, I would say that too.
Well, I think next to the witches and Sybil, I think my favorite female character has to be Cherry Bottom.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
can you see a DSI show of promoting her an own prime suspect type show, and she would be?
Well, we'll know because the Watch is still.
Is that still like in limbo?
It's in limbo still. I just checked it. The same with they're going to do convert another one of the films. I actually made notes. I made notes.
The funny thing is I don't know why it's like in limbo, because yes, they have a lot of costume stuff, but they've actually ratcheted up stuff that they can cobble the stuff from, Pride and Prejudice and stuff. It's like we got the costumes. You can actually,
and you can grab some Downton Abbey, cast-offs.
Unseen Academicals are looking at making into another movie.
Oh, really?
It's been in production hell sinst 2011, and they were still kind of making it as of late last year, but that was last I've been able to find out about it in anything. Pretty much the same kind of time span as The Watch or CSI Ankh-More book.
Yeah.
So.
If Duke Nukem Forever can manage it.
That would be hysterical.
I mean, I can see them doing sort of like a Broadchurch version of The Watch type of thing.
Really?
Yeah, they just. We talked about it in a panel about 3 years ago. That's the first time that we had heard it. The CSI.
They just announced it just before the panel 3 years ago.
Yes, and it's been on the preparing cover.
There'd be I think they said it was going to be 13 episodes of a police procedural series.
Yeah, just take a little bit of guards, take a little noir.
What we got? Was it Angua?
That was Angua.
Yeah.
Please come up forward and do a turn for us.
And hold still when you get up here.
Yes.
That's true.
Stop looking at our throats. Nice.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to teach first.
Turn around.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, the Angua Cherry dynamic.
Oh,
and
Sally.
Anytime you bring Angua in with another female, I love it. It's just, and Sally and what was her name? Betty. No, not Betty.
Yes, Betty.
Yeah.
Was it Betty?
That was her.
That was her name. No, the stripper.
Her real name was.
Her real name was
No.
Tawny that was her stripper name.
That was her pole name.
Her pole name.
Yeah, because it was a joke about Betty and Al from Jingo. That
That's why I was sitting there going, Betty. That's snobby. That's not. That cracked me up too. Nobby and drag always cracks me up.
Oh my God! Yeah. Yes.
What a viable political commentary.
I love Nobby. Navi. I can't help it. He's just one of those. Navi and Colin together.
Yes. Oh my God! Just them
Yeah, those two
explaining
guys.
Steam was amazing. I was just like, oh yeah, that's what adults do.
We were talking the
I
other
looked
night
at
about
mom's like, I don't think that's right.
No.
She's active for 5 minutes. Okay.
But I like the giving the coin. Just here you go. Just go away.
We were talking the other night about the fact that Navi and Fred Colon actually serve a trope in and of themselves, because in a lot of stories there's that older mentor, younger incompetent kind of pairing.
Yes.
You know, kind of anchors the story.
And I think Pratchett has said that every he does a signing and there's, a policeman there. It's like somebody will say, "Yeah, we have one of those. Oh, yeah, we have one of those on the
That
floor."
is the Navi who tells them this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think we all know a Navi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you know, you are.
Because, I have a friend that I seriously go, you shouldn't have kids, but you have dinner.
Yeah.
We all know, I think we all know somebody like the character.
That's
You
why.
like an amalgam of every socially awkward weird thing you know about anybody you know. He's like all of them put together.
Yes.
Yes.
He's like half of the married lobby just combined into one.
Yeah.
Squashed into an elevator.
Yes.
A really small one.
I don't know.
Well, the cut's really small. You've got to squeeze really tight to get it all in there.
Actually, I'm really surprised we got a lot of veterinarian in this book.
I
More
love the
so-
fact that he was the stoker.
Yeah.
Spoilers! We already put it
Sorry.
on.
We did. Sorry.
And I love how we actually
Sorry.
got we saw drum knot.
We watched Drum Knot.
Well, the thing is going postal, we saw that he was giving Geek Nerd
Yes.
fandom to us
Yes.
for that
Yes.
because the whole the stamp collection thing
knew it
was,
was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I was just, I just love that. And, he's like, he rides the thing and he comes up and goes, one more time.
Yes.
I just love
Yes.
that. And I'm like,
So didn't want to get on the first time.
yeah, and didn't want to do it, and then he loved it. And I'm like, welcome to Magic.
I love drum knot ever since he said, "Well, my lord, I have never stole a paper in my life.
I enjoy buying them.
I enjoy buying them." I mean, that was just okay.
Sum it all up right there.
But that's how you knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
When Drum Knot said that started giving him more of a personality.
Right.
Yes.
In the Moist books, you started getting
Mm-hmm.
Drum Knot is not just a background.
Monster
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't just once. He wasn't just your. They started with the whole. Okay, here he is.
He's the
He's stolen
OCD
your
guy.
pencil.
Yeah.
He's basically the paperwork Sheldon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
But they gave us something totally different with Dixon.
Oh
Yeah.
Father was an engineer, my father-in-law is an engineer. Watching somebody who looks like they're going to come off dumb and then immediately change all your opinions. is
I was
wonderful.
in Huntsville,
Oh, I know
Alabama,
that.
I
and
was about to say engineer today.
Huntsville has, Arsenal, and it's the land where it's Rocket City. So you literally see Dick Simnels everywhere.
He's actually
Because it's like we're rocket scientists and we drive trucks. Hey.
yeah. Actually, there's one who I don't know if he's here this year, but ever seen the show Rocket City Rednecks?
Yes.
He Dr. I'm getting his name now. Travis.
The dad or the son?
I can't.
Even that.
He's an author as well. He writes science fiction novels for Bean. So
Travis Taylor.
that's the one. Yeah, and he wrote a book. Where he was the main character based on him. It's a redneck who rides mountain bikes downhill, looks like a sports jock, but is a rocket scientist with like 7 degrees.
The thing I like about this whole STEAM thing, and it harkens back to the 19th century or 17th, our entire science of having the gentleman
The gentleman inventor.
Yes. I mean, here's a guy that's so self-taught and maths, the sine, cosine. I mean, who
The sine and the cosine.
who can do one of those equations? Yeah. Never mind.
Things for my next trigonometry class.
Magic for the slide.
But I mean, I like that, and we're kind of trying to redo that when you see, Kickstarter and people trying to get back into that
Yes.
and doing their own projects and stuff. I really like that, and that's what Terry likes as well. People that take the initiative and stuff.
And he did start off working for a nuclear power plant, and all those engineers and all the central electricity generating board for over 3 power plants.
Another thing I like about Dick Simmel is that he is kind of a subversion of the mad inventor trope. Because he doesn't just have a knack for this, he doesn't just pick it up or make it up because that will get him killed.
Right, and he's smart enough to know, yes, I need to know, because, yes, I may, like a trope. The trope would be, I created this thing, and then he gets abused by all the powers that be, but he's smart enough to say, yes, I need a lawyer. We need to do this correctly.
Yeah.
It's almost like, you almost want to give this book to, government officials. Really? Like, here, people in the patent office, you need to see this. I mean, this really shows on how, not really how government works, but honestly, some of it does. It's like, if you want to do it correctly, really, look here,
And he learned from his father's mistakes, right?
Yes,
That was really important. Like,
Yes.
I love that connection to his father and, what happened in Reaper Man, like sort of a side story.
And he promised his mom that I learned this, Mom. I'm not just doing what Dad did.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And his mom's like, I don't know what you're doing, but your grandpa touched the man.
Yes.
I love that. I was like, because I didn't know what to expect. I was like, it's going to be a dead body. What is it? Yeah, it wasn't it.
Okay, so what do we think of the, I guess we can maybe do the slant of the whole, there's a nod to the whole Islamic and the whole Kum Valley and the part wars with, he's really throwing a lot into this book, especially with the dark dwarves and stuff like that.
The sects of...
You had an opinion with that.
It very much brings forward the concept of this is not who we are, this is fanaticism.
Yes.
There's a massive difference between culture and fanaticism.
Mhm.
And if only people could realize that, this world would be a better place. But
That's why I think this is a big book. 300 pages, but to me, it is throwing a lot at you.
Dense.
It's very dense, very dense. Because it's like, wow, and like, this is what I like about these panels is everyone picks and almost, I like this, I like that, out of that. And I picked up on, the whole, even though you have Vimes who help with the Kum Valley Accord, things aren't great, and the whole thing, even though we're friends in Moorpork, between the race relations, that's what we have. None of us can get, it still keeps going. So like I said, it's a great big book. It's satire, and it's a good commentary of what's going on now.
He didn't leave the dwarves at peace. He's done with the future.
But it was funny that he has, the dwarf, the veils for the dwarves is very interesting take on that.
Yeah. Well, the dwarf's gender identity has always very interesting because one of the things that I have a lot of interaction with high school and college students. And gender fluidity is a very big deal to young people these days.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
A lot of them are rejecting the traditional binary identification.
Yes.
I have a 17-year-old who is right there in the cusp of it. She calls herself?
Oh, yeah, don't know.
Some
Early in the morning.
non-binary
Gender identity specific.
Yeah.
and something.
My 22-year-old's the same way.
Well, she was expecting me to freak out because apparently all
Oh
parents
yeah,
do.
of course.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and?
And
Oh yeah, like my friend who runs the X-Track, she has a young son, and he doesn't understand why some people are saying, and they're gay. What? Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Because they're more accepting. Because
They're a
they're
lot
more.
more accepting.
Yes, but when you consider, they haven't had to deal with what people have had to deal with
Right.
prejudice.
Oh yeah.
And that's even reflected in this world books as well. The acceptance of dwarves, first of all, then
Yeah,
the goblins.
The goblins, trolls, and the
goblins,
orc
yeah.
in Unseen Academicals.
Yes.
That was a major thing.
And with the goblins, we have Nobby with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
There's someone out there for everyone.
That's
Say
right.
about his mother. Is he half goblin?
No,
Nobody
knows.
Nobody knows.
All we know is his dad. The only thing I can really remember about Nobby's family is his dad stole his spoon.
Sconanobs.
Sconanods stole his spoon.
Yeah.
So
Well, I remember that, like, he has a piece of
Yeah,
paper
that.
signed by the-
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we've done research on this. He's really human.
Yeah.
Yeah, identifies as human.
back in the back.
His mama's name is Maisie of Elm Street. Make really great script pudding. And
Oh.
his brother's name is Errol.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think more than just Steve, I think all the books are fantastic social commentary.
They are,
Because
yeah.
they all zero in on one particular aspect.
I mean, it's not like none of them are ever, like your typical quest type thing.
Right.
None of them are.
They're slice of life type of thing.
Exactly.
Stay close to home.
Yes.
Last hero.
The last two.
Oh well, that's
Okay.
That was designed to be.
He's talking about the cult around him.
Yeah.
And we were
Right.
on the sad topic that eventually these will be the last stories.
Mm.
Is there a chance that he's looking at himself as well? That, this is, I am the hero turning.
Nobody let him have any Firefly.
Well, I was reading a description of, like, the Disc World, and I don't know if it's Terry Pratchett who wrote this description, but it was basically the age of high adventure, magic, and fantasy is coming to an end, and this is kind of the world that is developing after that. So that's why we start getting modern things like the stamps and the paper money and
The infrastructure.
and that's kind of the fantasy age dying and the new age being
Well-
born, and I thought that was kind of, even back before he knew he was sick, that was something that he was doing with his book.
I think too. I think he thinks broad enough that if you go to like Joseph Campbell, the idea of the hero quest for our modern time has changed. You have, it's not like going out and finding this and this. I was watching a commentary. It's out of print, but it was Silence of the Lambs, and Jodie Foster talks about her character and the hero quest. Here it's a crime procedural, the whole thing, but there is that sort of sense that you can do sort of the hero quest in the sort of thing of creating a steam engine. He's broad enough to say, yeah, it's ending or it's changing
Yeah.
because society changes and the world is getting smaller. Discworld's getting smaller. The Clacks made it very small. All of a sudden you can going
Speak to
postal.
genuine,
If you look, it is a commentary because we're. Right now you can call somebody in the UK, you can call your mom over in Singapore, whatever.
Well, even the truth.
And the truth, yes.
With the news
So-
spread, yeah.
The last continent we got, Australia.
Yeah.
Right.
Free.
Again, January used to take a whole book. Now you can get the shrimp prices by the afternoon.
Right.
It started in Colored Magic and like Fantastic when you had Two Flower being the first.
Tourists.
Yeah.
Like insurance.
Yeah. Yes.
Insurance.
In fact, some might. Go ahead.
I think I think really what.
We'll get you. Yeah. You, then you. Yes.
Okay.
You.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay.
Yes, you.
I think part of what it is I think Terry Pratchett has always excelled at finding the heroics and the magic in the smallest gesture. Because the scenes that stick with me in Pratchett's work are the small moments, like in Thud, when Vimes is trying to get home to read to young Sam.
Yes.
And his rationalization for that, if you come up with a good reason not to be there when you say you're going to be there, eventually you'll do it for a bad reason.
Yes.
And that's heroic right there.
Exactly. Simple things.
Yeah, and that's the age of magic may be ending, in the grand outward thing, but I think he's showing us that there's still magic in the world. It's just changed.
Did you have a question in the back? Yes? Yes? No? Oh, you do?
I do. I was just
Okay.
Okay, I have not read a lot of Pratchett. I've read 1 or 2 books here, and I read Fate and Clay fairly recently. This Nobby's thing about being the lord of something. Is Nobby isn't being the lord? You know, just the commentary of how you become a lord, or if you become this celebrity, then you get drugged back into the gutter.
Right.
Yeah.
You just get thrown back into the gutter next week.
He ran back there.
She would force way out the window.
Yeah, because Vines would go completely librarian.
Cool. Yes.
I have an anecdotal story about Pratchett for a friend of mine who was definitely interested in it.
Can you speak?
Sure.
Hang on.
I did a little story about Terry Pratchett many years back when he was doing the book signing tour through the States. And he went to Chicago, where I have a friend. This story relates to the Morris answers of Lunk. It's a Lunk and Morris novel. Okay. Very odd little story. I got into reading Pratchett because of the witches, and I'd been reading them for a while when all of a sudden Morris dancing entered my life through friends, and we learned how to do it, and we did some dancing class. So then I started noticing the Morris dance stories. And then I had a friend to Chicago who was also into Morris dancing, and he and his group made sure to go out and meet Terry Pratchett when he was doing a book signing tour in Chicago. And I don't know which book was coming out that they went to do this, but what they did was they dressed up as the anti-Morris. They actually made a whole costume for it, and they went out because they had specifically heard that Terry Pratchett was a little bit derisive of Morris dancers and sort of treated them a little shabbily, and they wanted to show them that it really wasn't that bad. So they went out, did the anti-Morris dance for him. They were very respectful. They talked to him a lot, and he was won over at the end. He's like, well, I guess Morris dancers really aren't that. And they presented him with a set of bell pads and some other things, black things.
That was Winter
Silent bell pads stuffed with cotton balls and stuff. So then apparently, ever since, whenever Terry Pratchett writes about Morris dancers in his novels, he's much nicer about it. And even a little bit, heroic sometimes, or doing something good. So I just wanted to share that. Well, when you consider what the blacksmith is one, isn't he?
Yeah.
Jason Austin.
Jason, I mean, and he is like, to me, a paragon of good. He's almost like the Captain Carrot in Lancre.
Yeah.
He's
a relative of Manny Arm, though.
He's his son. Elder son.
There's how we handle the elves.
Right.
He did write somewhere about coming to America and having the black mustache.
Yeah, that was in Wintersmith.
That was in Wintersmith.
That was Wintersmith. Yeah. Okay, and that was actually
a
That
nod
was
to
kind of a nice treatment of Morris dancers.
Yeah,
but he sort of moderated his writing.
He listed in the postscript.
No, he listed the postscript about them coming and doing it. He talks about it in the book.
It's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Because in England, it's sort of a joke in a lot of stories.
It is.
Oh yeah.
It is.
Oh yeah.
I hate it. Literally, the warning note is true. People run. Yeah.
And it's so true. Like hobbies. You can have people that are just you don't want to be around them. That's why we're all here.
There was actually a site in Boston that did the Dark Morris for him as well. To be
the friend that lived in Chicago moved to Boston and did it there and talked to people there how to do it. It's a mysterious connection, yes.
Well, lords and ladies, that's how they kept themselves sane. They kept dancing.
Yeah, they danced.
Yeah,
And it
they're
entertained
elves,
the elves.
yeah.
And I thought that was very
Like heroic.
Yes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, kill.
We will never speak of the stick and bucket dance.
But I mean, I don't even know what horse dance is.
I can't believe my wife forgot to mention that we actually have a Morris dance that our team does called the Stick and Bucket Dance. It involves, we actually walk out, everybody has to carry their bucket into the dance in a different fashion. I just generally put it on like a feed bag or something. But we dance the whole thing and it's clashing the buckets and clashing the sticks. And at the very end, the sticks go over and smash as if we're killing elves.
Wow.
There have
Do you guys have a video on like YouTube?
Actually, yeah, on YouTube there is. Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Stick and Bucket Dance, yeah, it's got that one good time.
I grew up in upstate New York, and we have our own Morris. I grew up around Morris dancers. Yes, lots of them. Yeah.
I had never heard of it until I read Terry Pratchett. So.
And a lot of people actually thought it was a joke. Was it last year or the year before? People were saying, "Is it the Morris dance? Does it actually exist?"
Yeah. There's Morris dancers in the Demons with Pertwee. Yeah.
I have to watch May Day. First day of May, I have to watch the Demons just to see the Morris dancers.
That was a real Morris dancing team.
Yes.
It still exists now, although all those guys are probably,
Yeah.
They call their sons.
Yes.
And those are two real Morris dances that they do.
Oh, cool.
Okay, slightly different. The other book that came out with a Discworld story in it was the Science of Discworld 4.
Oh,
Has anybody read any of the Science of Discworld books?
I have.
Read a little bit.
I let him read those because he is the science.
Exactly, yeah. The science actually helped me visualize certain concepts in a completely new way. And the story was actually, it was the growth of a civilization, basically. And in fact, the whole of Chapter 15 of The Long Mars is based on something from one of the Science of Discworld books. So, when you read The Long Mars, you'll actually, and you've read the Science of Discworld, it's actually, a lot of it comes from there.
I mean, that's what I like about, like the science or even the folklore stuff is really on how much research he does. And you don't really realize it.
Well, the science ones are, it's a story bits with it, but the science are written by three scientists. You got to mix the story.
Yes, I mean, and for him to do the story, he's had to read the.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's coming up with the ideas and stuff. Because, like we said, the world's getting smaller, and there's new evidence for different stuff all the time. That, it's a cool way of thinking outside of the box type of thing. And this guy he's done it, and it's a great commentary of looking overall. He's got a great eye on everything. Yeah. Because when you consider what's the number one thing any person asks and all that, I would never ask this man, where do you get your ideas? We all know. You walk down the street and you can figure out, there's a story. Yeah. That's basically Discworld stories of us. We're it.
Yeah. What about then non-Discworld books, especially, not so much Good Omens, because I think, but Strata, his early stuff is many
Dodger?
people.
Dodger.
Nation as well.
I have as a Dickensian reader and stuff. As you can tell, 19th century alt history fan. I actually had a problem because I've read like Devil in the White City, where you're doing. What is it called? Historical fiction?
Yeah.
It didn't come off that well, because he really played Dickens up as a nicerist chic. The guy was an asshole.
Yeah.
As good as I love Dickens, he was a fuck. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
No kids.
There are no kids. Sorry. I didn't say it fully.
Oh, close your ears.
I didn't say the full. Sorry.
She used the
Friggin'.
Yes.
No, nothing.
I didn't. Yeah.
What's his name? Tulip. Pin and Tulip.
Ing.
I don't know what ing is, but it's got to be a word.
I think it's a good experiment because authors do that.
Yeah.
The idea of a Dodger is interesting. Of rising up. Yeah. I saw it as an interesting take of historically. Of the muck, the people that go into the tunnels and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting, because I do that. I go find abandoned places to go, but...
Yeah.
Maybe the sewer.
And then there's allegories to Discworld again, because that's what Harry King was. He was a tosher who ended up making it big and getting the title and the girl. And so he kind of stayed to that similar sort of trope.
I mean, if anything, when you consider, let's go deal with Captain Carey. Here's a guy who is king, and yet the world's gotten to a point that
He knows he doesn't need it.
He knows he doesn't need it, and society doesn't need it.
Society needs him to be a watchman.
Exactly. Yes.
The one honest one.
What was it that he said? He said that the king will come back when the king needs it, right?
Yeah.
The king doesn't need it.
Right.
Police.
Right.
And
Right.
man of the
Correct.
city.
Yes.
But if we're gonna go non-Discworld, especially for like younger readers,
Nation.
no. Have you ever heard of the Vermilia trilogy?
Bromeliads.
Truckers, Diggers.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
Wings.
yeah.
I love those, especially with
Masculine.
Masculine and Grippa. And how, my head's gonna explode, really? Tell me again how my head's gonna explode.
If I learn to read, yeah.
Oh, really? You're better than me because you're a man. Okay. She's a really strong female character for younger readers.
I'm trying to get my daughter into the Johnny Maxwell series.
Stinky Book. There's a really good little mini series, Johnny and the Bomb.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the longest time when it first came out, my kids were running around going, Stinky Boy. But Johnny and the Bomb, I like the Johnny series. But the Vermilion trilogy is really good. Maddie, the 17-year-old, really liked Tiffany Aching. She's, I think that was a really good series for kids. I actually used to read Where's My Cow to my top numbers. They're 10 and 12 now, but when it first came out, we bought Where's My Cow? And, Bugger It, Millennium Hanger. That's not my daddy. You have?
Yeah, you can see the Vermilion trilogy, the TV version the BBC broadcast many years ago. It's on YouTube.
Oh, it is?
The animated one, yeah. It's,
If you haven't ever seen it, so you can just keep it.
what, 3 minutes or so?
Yeah, we've got like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Look at two
Matt,
good
It's actually for me. Nanny Ogg's cookbook.
Yes. Who made anything from there? You did. What'd you make?
I made cookbooks.
And you, sir?
Potato.
Okay.
Marzipan rats. Honestly.
Marzipan rats.
Yeah.
Really?
And what'd you make?
Blowfish without the blowfish.
The blowfish.
I want some no.
No.
The joy of snacks. Yeah, Annie's great.
Yes. So this is a great panel. Even though I'm not in the parade, I'm here for you guys. This was a great panel. Thank
Got
you.
2 giveaways.
Oh, we have giveaways. They're mystery bags.
Crisp bag. From Cocktail there.
Sure.
And
we have
Gift card.
a gift card from the corner shop.
It's a cute little shop in Marietta. British food.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
Prawn cocktail.
Prawn cocktail.
Oh, wow. If you talk to him, if you win it, he might actually take them off.
Okay. Who's got a question?
You come up with questions all the time. Don't you?
Yeah, you do.
No,
Yeah.
they're always too hard.
Well, go ahead and try one.
You know what? No, I know. You dressed up and you dressed up because you're the luggage. Come up to the front.
Yeah.
And you did too. Oh, okay. So, you need to fight Nanny Og.
We have Death of Rats back there. She's
What?
Death of Rats.
Where?
In the
Death of Rats.
She's got a liver
forward.
skull and everything.
I just.
Come forward.
Oh, Death of Rats.
She slumped in and hit.
And Carly, okay, so I guess we're going to have to do a question.
Okay, now we're going to have to do a question.
Whoa. Crowley eggs and Crowley.
Oh, Crowley, yeah.
I love Crowley.
You need to work on your sauntering a little bit.
I'm not awake yet.
Okay.
Hey, I slept through most of the 14th centuries. Come on.
That's just because.
Good comeback. They're back for that one.
Okay, so question.
I don't have one.
Andrew.
Rats is trying to still get his stuff.
I think I saw
Oh, yes.
Okay, I might have a question.
I saw Prince one yesterday walking around.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how you told me that.
Yeah.
One book.
Well, I just came here because I knew everybody.
Okay, I think we got one. Okay. Name the one book, a book that death has not been in. Quick!
Wait, of the Discworld series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Making money.
I don't know. This is your question. You better know it.
I'm thinking.
Wait, you don't know the answer already?
No.
Not me.
No, I have to sit.
There is one that he hasn't been.
I think it's Making Money, isn't it? The one that we came up with? What was he in Making Money in?
Was it Eric?
No, he was in
He was in Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
He was in the We Free Man.
Yeah.
He was the vocal.
Oh, okay, that was a fail question.
Yes.
I think
That's
Making
the
Money.
answer.
All right, we'll go with Making Money. So that means Logan still gets it, right? Yay! And we've got one
Wait,
more.
is this one with the gift card?
Yes, it is.
I don't live here, so we can take it out and give it to someone else.
All right, well then you can get the tart. Look at that. Oh my God, and you can hang it on one of the feet.
Because they're both bigger on
Okay, this is okay then. All right, we nailed it. Who lives here? Danny-Og.
Thank you.
Take the gift bag.
I would say, I was like, I'll help you. Death rats.
If you guys have the app, please rate this fantastic panel.
Yeah, we got it last minute. You noticed it got
last minute.
changed.
Yes.
I begged the director to have this panel, and when Terry Gilliam came, we got the break. So
Yes. So anyway, please rate it
And,
because they actually Dragon Con does look at
very much so.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
Now that it's been in use for the last three years.
Yeah.
Yes, it's on how they rate and how we get Terry, stuff like this and whatnot. So
And how we can get a better slot. You can all go to the parade as well.
yes.
Can I ask one question? You know, if there's
Are we gonna
be-
fight outside?
No. Are there going to be any more illustrated books?
I'm not aware of any
Briggs, right?
right now.
Do you know, there's a GURPS game system, Steve Jackson.
Oh, there's actually a board game downstairs in the Hilton. The Discworld board games in the Hilton basement.
They're not that good.
Hmm?
They're not that good.
I only saw it last night.
I know. Well, I actually have a couple of those games. They're not good. If you want a really cool illustrated book, Steve Jackson Games years ago teamed up with Terry Pratchett, and it's almost like an encyclopedia. And it's fully illustrated books. And it's this
Have you seen a
world.
site called
T-Turtle.com?
It's a lot of t-shirts, and they have a Discworld with the cutest, with the cutest